Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to be going through the process of refurbishing one of the alloy wheels on my car, and I'll be showing you the process and exactly what I did. So this wheel got pretty badly damaged when I accidentally drove into a curb, and it's been bugging me, or the look of it has been bugging me ever since. So I decided to take matters into my own hands and try and do something about it. So my plan was to jack up the car, take off the wheel and put the spare on while I worked on this one. To be honest, I'm not completely happy with how this came out because I made a couple of mistakes during the process, but I'll be showing you that later on during the video. There's actually a week's difference between the start and end of this video, because when I took off the wheel from the car, I found a bulge on the back of my tyre that needed replacing. So I took the wheel to a tyre shop and got that done. And by the time I got home again, I had a lot of other things to get on with that day, so I had to leave the recording to next week. The first thing I did when I got the wheel off the car was to sand down the rough edges, and then I washed it down pretty thoroughly with some washing up liquid just to get rid of the grease that was on the wheel. Then I moved on to use some brake cleaner to get rid of the brake dust that was stuck to the wheel and wouldn't come off. So I sprayed this on both sides of the wheel and spent some time scrubbing off all of the black dust that was stuck on there. Then I put the sprays that I was going to use into a bucket of warm water just to loosen up the paint inside them. So I used 3 different types of paints, well 2. I used primer and then a coat of alloy paint, and then I used a clear coat on top of it. So at this point I'm still cleaning down the wheel with a lot of brake cleaner just to get rid of the brake dust, and then I proceeded to do a lot more sanding to smoothen out the edges before I started using the filler. After I was happy with sanding it, I had to wash it again and then dry it, and I didn't have all day to wait, so I pulled out a leaf blower and used that to dry the wheel, and that worked pretty well to get the water out of all of the grooves. To fill in the scratches, I used Isopon 32 body filler, and I pushed that into all of the scratches on the alloy and then sanded it down later on. So I think I used a little bit too much filler at this stage, because when it came to sanding it down I really struggled a lot, and the single sanding block that I had actually completely died and I stopped working properly. So I had a lot of difficulty trying to sand off the excess filler that was on there, and that affected the result of the finish in the end. I ended up going really overboard with the filler and just putting way too much on, which wasn't necessary for the condition of the wheel. After waiting for the filler to dry, I got out my sanding block and started sanding it down. If I had gone out to buy a new block at this point, rather than just hoping that what it was looking like at the moment wouldn't show when I painted it over, the finish would have looked a lot better in the end. Here's my nephew saying hello. So after sanding down the filler, I was ready to start painting, and I cleaned off all of the excess dust that was there and masked off the edges and went straight in there with the primer. I tried to be as patient as possible with the painting process, but it started getting dark, so I had to kind of rush a bit just to get it finished. When it started getting cold, I used a heat gun to harden up the paint. And then I sanded down the paint before I put the gloss coat on. Using more heat at this point was probably a bad idea because I ended up not getting a glossy finish. It came out as more of a matte finish. So here you can see what it looked like in the end. It's not too far from what it looked like originally, only the scratches are covered in paint, so they're not as noticeable. I could fix this by sanding it down properly and painting again, but judging by the condition of all of the other wheels on the car, I don't think it's worth it for the time being. So I hope you enjoyed watching this, and if you did, please like, share and subscribe and show some support. Feel free to follow me on Twitter and Instagram